Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I'm doing a quick playthrough of Dice Upon the Time, which is currently on Kickstarter, and a family-friendly dice placement game in a fairy tale universe. And I'm pretty sure you will recognize some, if not all, of the characters that are being shown in this game. So yeah, let's see how things go, right?
Okay, and before we get started, the obvious disclaimer first: everything you see here is a prototype component, so things may look a little bit differently in the final product. I personally have my problems with this board, which is really busy, very noisy, sometimes hard to track, but I'm pretty sure this will be sorted out as well. Apart from that, the rest of the artwork on the cards and everything like that, I will show that to you in a second, of course, is really nice looking already. So I think overall already a pretty nice looking prototype. Apparently I received this as a review copy. I will ship it to the next reviewer once I'm done. So this is also my usual disclaimer, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. Usually you play Dice Upon a Time over 6 chapters, aka rounds. I decided to go with a short variant here, which is only 3 chapters, so I will most likely not be able to do a hell of a lot of those quests or adventures up here, which will score us more points. So there are some easy ones here with worth 2 victory points or adventure points, 3 points and 4 points at the end of the game. Again, with only 3 rounds, it's very likely I will only be able to solve a couple of those 2s or 3s, I guess at least. Nevertheless, in order to show you some of the more advanced adventures here, I decided that the Musicians of Bremen, die Bremer Stadtmusikanten in German, we'll start with one of those tougher adventures. You start the game with your set of dice. They're all the same dice, despite the color, apparently. I will come to those special die in a second too. And basically each of the characters start the game with 2 of those adventure cards. You choose from which pile you take. And on top of this, each of the players will start the game with one of those magic cards or magic items here, which are usually good for you or bad for the other. So yes, this game really has a lot of take that in it, but again, I will come to that in a second too. So again, green is or are the Musicians of Bremen. White will be Puss in Boots or Der gestiefelte Kater in German, and I will draw the adventures for him on camera so that you see what they have. All the other players I will keep kind of face down. The same is true for this magic item here. I will show that to you in a second. Yeah, why not? And last but not least, we have Little Red Riding Hood. The red player makes sense. Rotkäppchen in Germany, by the way. She starts the game with a 2 and a 3 adventure, so basically an easy one and a medium one. And this is her magic items. Let's look at the magic item for our Puss in Boots. And here we have the wonderful: play this card when an opponent is placing a die on the board. They must re-roll that die. Well, again, a lot of take that in this game, and this is really particularly nasty. So this is really kind of something like Munchkin at some extent. So if you see that someone is really piling up those adventures and solves those or basically completes those adventures, people start ganging up against this leader here and start playing those nasty cards against him. Then let's draw our 2 adventure cards, and I think let's go for an easy one and also take one of those medium ones. So let's see what those are. So that's the easy one. So we have to bring pretty much 1 apple to this, I don't know, is it Frau Holle? Cannot quite remember. And here we simply have to drop 2 of those tokens. One needs to be a bread and the other token needs to be a gold coin. I can do that anywhere. But of course I need to collect those tokens first. The same is true for this apple here. By the way, all of those quest cards are face up. I nearly, forgot that. So it's basically the only hidden information in this game are only those magic item cards. So what does Little Red Riding Hood needs to do? Okay, first of all, she needs to get the sword from the knight here and has to basically go to, and I guess, slaying the blue dragon here. And here she has to drop 2 bread for 2 points. Okay, that's definitely not so easy, to be honest. So we might as well have a look at the quest cards here. So here we simply have to visit the blue dragon for 2. Sounds easy, but you still need high dice. And here we have to deliver 2 apples to this, I don't know, hunter, I guess. Pretty sure that's the hunter from Little Red Riding Hood. As usual, I will explain everything as I go, so let's get started. First thing you do is to remove one of those chapter cards to indicate that we are now in round 1. And then all of the players will roll all of their action dice for this chapter here. And by the way, this is the dice tower I built together with my son out of Lego. It's a prototype, it's very noisy as well, but it works pretty well too. So those are the dice for the white player, the Puss in Boots, and I will roll the other dice off camera. And white is the starting player. Let your tail begin here. Nice little card. And yeah, can do his first action. Let's have a look at the special ability of the Puss in Boots, which says you can change one of your tokens to another type of your choice when standing on the town field. Right now we are all standing on the town field. The problem is we don't have any tokens, so we can ignore this special ability for now, but we may want to use it later on for one of those quest cards here. I think this quest card here is definitely solvable relatively soon. So I think let's try to get an apple. And apparently you get an apple from an apple tree here. In order to move here, you have to place a die. Those spaces, those road spaces, pretty much tell you what you need to place on in order to activate that road. And then you can move to the next space adjacent to it. So this could be, again, Frau Holle here, or this church, or the bridge, for example. They're all connected here. I think that's a good start. So let's start with a 2. And Puss in Boots will now move to the old lady here. Next, we would pretty much activate the die effect. We don't have a die effect. Those come with those special symbols here. Pretty sure I will be able to show them to you in a second too. And after you would potentially activate your die effect, we moved your figure. Okay, we did that now. And then we would do the location ability, which is in this case one of those story cards which can do all kinds of stuff. Stuff that can hurt you, stuff that can benefit the others. But let's find out what we get. And apparently that's a bad one. It has a red border. So we get to choose. Every opponent can get an apple, or every opponent can get a loaf. So that's really a bad thing for us, apparently. Now I will check what the others need. The problem is red needs bread and green needs apples. So no matter what, I benefit all of the players. But this is a 4-pointer. So I think in this case, I want to choose bread instead. Yeah, let's do that. Give every other player one of those bread tokens here. Definitely a crappy start, but not much I can do about it. We will simply discard this card, and those cards are always played face up. And that's already the end of the first turn of the white player. Let's move over to Little Red Riding Hood, who rolled this here. She got one of those books, story card symbol, which again, as you could see, can be good or bad. Right now we only saw a bad card, but we also need to check out where she wants to go to. She already has one bread token, so in theory she only needs one more here. So I think it's a good idea for her to move down here to the oven, I guess. So she could move over here to the bridge. Yeah, I think this is what she wants to do. Now, in order to activate the road, or basically a space where an opponent already placed something, you need to place a die that's equal to or higher than the die that's below that. So she couldn't place a 1 here. 1 is already basically not allowed here anyway. So in this case, it's pretty easy for her. So maybe white should have considered placing a higher die, but he really needed the higher dice on his own now. So I think that's definitely the better deal for him. So she will place the red die on top of it. And in a 3 and 4 player game, the maximum of a tower can be 3 dice. So when there are 3 dice, no one else can move over or activate this space again. And by the way, her special ability is once in a chapter you can place a lower value die on another die to activate a path. So that's pretty nice, but you have to have another die underneath your die. So definitely cool stuff. Next, she would activate the die. There's nothing to activate on a standard die. Then she would move to the location here, which is the bridge. The bridge doesn't really have any special abilities. It can be a target for any other quest cards, for example. And that's pretty much the end of her turn. She could complete a quest. That's always the last thing that you do in your turn. But yeah, apparently she cannot solve any quests for now, so that's pretty much the end of her turn. Over to green, and let me remove the die so you can see the beautiful artworks on those cards here. Once in a chapter, you can place a 4th die on top of a tower, so that's nice. And he also wrote a hell of a lot of those special symbols here. This is duplicate die, which is really great, so you get the reward, a token reward, twice. And this vial here gives you 1 extra magic card, which is usually always nice to have. So let's see, what should he do? As he has the duplicate or doubler die, he wants to move to the orchard here as well in order to get 2 apples he needs. So I think, yeah, he also wants to activate that road. So this die tower is now full, so that's a die that's higher than the other one. So he will activate pretty much the die, nothing to activate here. Then he will move, and then he will activate the location, which means he has to draw another of those story cards. That's okay-ish. You can reroll 1 of your unused dice. That's something you have to do right away. And that's a green card, so apparently it's beneficial. And I'm not so sure if you want to do that, because again, this die is the lowest die he has, and those symbols always count as 6s, despite their effect. So I think he doesn't want to reroll any of his dice. So I think he's fine. So he will simply discard this card. He cannot complete a quest. So that's pretty much the end of his turn. Then it's back to Puss in Boots. He wants to go to the orchard. So in order to move here, he needs to put a dice here. Now he can do something very, very mean, apparently. I think he wants to do that. He wants to place his blockade die on top of this thing here. So this is now a 6, so that's perfectly legal. This allows him to move in here. The effect of this die is you cannot place a die on top of this die unless it's also this X die, the blockade die in this case, which is really, really mean for this guy. And now the musicians of Bremen are really lucky in this case that they have the special ability to place a 4th die on top of this die tower. And otherwise they would have been blocked in that space. And this is really something that can be very, very mean in this game. You can do other stuff, so your dice are usually not lost. Because in the corner of this game board here you will find some, I think, spiritual advisors or so. Though this is the snake, which gives you the snake die. Top left, there is the hare, which can basically give you the start player for the next round, and you will get 1 of those hare tokens which you can use in order to move 1 space for free. We have the wolf, which is also a very nasty one because it causes the other players to discard a die as well here. So if you have really only 1 sucky die left, then you would place your die here and forces the other players to discard 1 of their maybe more powerful dice here. And the fox is pretty nice too, because you can place any die here, and you can then at the end of the round, for your next round, you can place the die you placed here onto the facing of your choosing. So you don't need to reroll this. So overall, usually there's always something that you can do. Maybe not the most ideal move, but yeah, usually something that's possible to do. Back to the location, and I think Puss in Boots simply gets 1 apple. Unfortunately, he pretty much blocked himself out here because his target for the quest card is this old lady here. But I think he's still okay waiting another round for example, to solve it, or maybe go the other way around. There's always stuff you can do. So let's place that apple next to his character board. So that was his action. So he's not solving any quests. Little Red Riding Hood really wants to move to the oven. Here she needs a 6. So she has to activate this die here, which counts as a 6. Problem is you have to resolve your die first. And this is another story card die. So yeah, let's see what she gets. And of course, she's not lucky. She gets a side quest. The problem is this side quest is now worth -1 adventure points or -1 victory point at the end of the game. But we can get rid of it by riding a steed, which is 1 of those spaces down here. And you can basically, when you move here, you can teleport to any other steed location on the board. And I think there are only 3 of those. But for now, she has to keep this card. Apart from that, she is now able to move down here to the oven. At the oven, she gets 1 of those bread tokens, which brings her to 2. So next she could pretty much solve a quest or complete a quest. She will do that. So she will drop both of those bread tokens in order to complete this quest here. And We will flip it down to indicate, hey, she has now scored 2 victory points, adventure points at the end of the game. Actually, I like the iconography in this game. It's very clear. Maybe what I would also prefer, if there would be a little bit of flavor, so really relating to some of those fairy tales or so, whatever. Not just dropping 2 bread, but I don't know, visiting the grandmother to give her something to eat or so. I don't know if that's something that the designers are considering to do. This was her turn, definitely not bad. Overall netted, she only scored 1 point, but there is still a good chance she can get rid of that side quest here. And then it's over to the musicians of Bremen, who are now really stuck here. Because again, this path is blocked, they don't have the proper die, so now he's really kind of thinking, oh man, I really should have reconsider things and maybe re-roll a die or so. And yeah, this already is blocked, but his special ability allows him to place a 4th die once per round on this tower here, in order maybe to move back to the tower, and then he could gain another quest card, and maybe this is what he should do. Yes, for sure. So he will activate this die here. Therefore, he will get one of those magic items. Not going to show those to you. Then he's allowed to move to the town center here. He has used his special ability in this chapter, so we will pretty much flip it. I thought on the other side those were not showing those special abilities. Okay, let's kind of put it sideways in order to indicate we have used it. And yeah, just checked it on this side. This is correct on this card, so there is a little problem with the musicians of Bremen. But then they're allowed to draw another quest card, and I think let's go for one of those easy ones. And here he simply has to visit the red dragon, which is all here to the right of the board, pretty much Mordor. Mordor should be a little bit more south, but yeah, you know what I mean. Then it's back to Puss in Boots, and actually he can override his ban die here. He still has to put a 6 die, because it's still a value 6 here, but you can do that with your own colored die. Nearly missed it. The problem is, I think I don't want to do that yet, because I'm a mean cat. So I want to place this die now here to the wolf, which causes all the other players to place one of their dice here too. So here is the lowest die from the green player, and that's pretty much the lowest die from the red player. So he exchanged now one of his die with 2. That's at least 1 more powerful die from the green player here. And yeah, it doesn't really care too much about the die here. But all the other players, they will also not be able to use those dice on the fox or the snake, for example. Even though I didn't move, unfortunately, I don't get the reward. I only get it when I arrive at a location. So I cannot simply camp somewhere and placing dice and collecting apples like crazy. But that's already the end of the white player's turn. Over to Little Red Riding Hood down here at the oven. Her next goal would be to go over here to the knight, collecting the sword she needs to go back in order to slay the blue dragon, I guess. So yeah, let's place her die like this, I guess. So this lets her move her here, nothing to connect to activate. She has to move now. Next she would draw a story card. What did we get? That's better. She would be allowed to draw a magic item card. Okay, that's really helpful. And then it's green again. He needs to activate this die here, I guess. So nothing to activate. He will move to this little inn. Nothing to do there. But he's going to the ferry here in order to get a reward of his choosing. The problem is you need to spend a die worth of 6, which is apparently not a problem for him though. Then it's back to white. He wants to play or go back here to this old lady. So again, he's allowed to put a die on it. Now it's a 6 showing, so other players could again activate that road apparently, but I think this is blocked, so he will move down. The problem now is he cannot solve his quest. First thing that you have to do is to resolve a story card. Sometimes you really are being teleported somewhere else, and then you are no longer able to fulfill your quest. So the order of things is really important. So let's see what he gets. Apparently he's lucky. He simply gets another apple, which is always nice. Last but not least, he can also complete his quest, so he will spend an apple. He's at the right location, so we will flip it face down, so he also scored 2 more points. Then it's Little Red Riding Hood again, and again her plan is to go here to the knight, so he will spend this die to move here to the well, and that's already the end of her activation. And I forgot, of course, you're losing 1 action when someone is using the wolf. And by the way, the wolf can only be used once per round, by the way. Over to green. He wants to move in here with this double token here, but now white, the Puss in Boots, says not so fast. We will play our magic card here, the wonderful. Play this card when an opponent is placing a die on the board. They must re-roll that die. How mean is that? So let's simply re-roll that die. And yeah, it's only a 5. How bad is that? So he cannot use it to move here to the fairy. And yeah, the musicians of Premium say, curses, curses. So what does he want to do with the 5 now instead? I think he will take this die now and will place it onto the fox, so he can pretty much turn it to any face of his choosing for the next round. So I think that's okay for him, but that's already the end of his activation. White still has 1 more die left. The problem, the die left is only a 5 in this case, so he cannot put it here, he cannot put it here. So I think let's put it onto the snake die here. And by the way, the reward is only given to the player which die is the highest one. Other players don't have anything on the board here because you see the tower icon here. So he's pretty sure that he will get the snake die. We will pretty much give it to him right away because no other actions are being done. And that's already the end of the first chapter, aka the first round. So we will remove all of those dice back to their respective owners. Let's quickly do that. The white die goes in here as well. Same is true for the snake. And we must not forget that green can use this die now to place it to any die. We have to separate it somewhere. And of course, we have to reactivate our special ability. The starting player hasn't changed, so let's simply roll our dice. And just for the laughs, I will do that 1 more time with my Lego dice tower here. And here is something which green player says, hey, I have something for you in stock as well, Puss in Boots. And of course, he can keep this die here as well. I will roll all the other dice off camera. Or maybe I will do the die rolling for the white player too, because of the snake die, which you simply roll. I will roll that again. And yeah, this time he was lucky. He gets an immediate reward here, which is a coin in this case. But this also means the die goes right back here. There are other results here. The worst result is the snake symbol here, because this means the snake slips through your fingers and you got nothing. You get an apple, you get a bread, and you get basically a 5 and a 3 if I'm not mistaken. But he already got his reward, and overall he's pretty happy with his result here too. And overall, I think he's really in a good shape, because he can now fulfill his mission here too. Yeah, let's do that. So he will start his turn, and I guess he will start slow. So he will move back to town. So first of all, we'll activate the die. Nothing to activate. Then we will move. Then we will activate the city space here. And I think let's go for another of those 3 medium cards here, which says we have to bring any 3 resources to town. Oh, that's tempting. Okay, let's park it for now. Next, we will use our special ability, which says you can change 1 of your tokens to another type of your choice when standing on the town field. So we will exchange this apple into bread, which is now good enough in order to complete this quest here as well. So Puss in Boots is already at 5 adventure points. Can you believe that? And yeah, one thing I didn't forget that, of course. This is the card I just drew. That's the end of his turn. Then it's Little Red Riding Hood. And I think she wants to get the sword here first. So she has to place this is her lowest die. Can you believe that? So she will place it here. and move to the knight there. Before she does anything else, she needs to draw another story card. And that's a good side quest, actually, because it can give you one extra adventure point if you had bread at the end of the game. So now she has really a goal, and in theory, if she gets a bread, she can negate the other side quest and doesn't really need to care to move to one of those steed spaces, for example. That's not too bad for her. Then she basically visited the knight, so she's able to get the special quest token here. And with this token, she now has to move back here to the blue dragon. And I forgot to basically discard this chapter card here in order to slay the blue dragon. The good thing is she could pass over this oven here and get the bread for the side quest. So I think overall things could work out for her too. And then it's finally green, and this time he will be able to activate this one. So he will place his doubler here, and he will also play a magic card next to this doubling die, the wishing table, which says play this card when you are placing a doubling die, which we just did. Take 3 tokens instead of 2. Isn't that nice? And of course, he will now move in here. He needs apples like crazy, so he gets 3 apples instead. And you cannot pick and choose. So if you're using doublers or triplers in this case, you have to go for the same resource. Unfortunately, I cannot go for 2 apples and a bread and or a coin or something like that. But overall, he's not complaining about this either. Back to Puss in Boots, and he continues to stay a mean cat. So he will place his die with the axe on top of this one here in order to move down to the well. So no one else can go there unless you're spending one of those axes as well. And she doesn't have an axe, and she curses. Again, apart from that, he cannot do anything here at the well, though that's already the end of his activation. Then it's Little Red Riding Hood, and yeah, she wants to use her doubling die. And she will move to the treasure. So she gets now 2 pieces of coin. She cannot really use it right now, but she didn't want to waste the opportunity here. She cannot solve any quests, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the end of her activation. Then it's green, and I think he wants to move to the king. Yeah, let's go like this. So he will go in here. And the special ability of the king allows you to draw 3 cards in order to keep 1 of those. So we really get a nice choice of quest cards. And I think he will go for 2 easy ones and 1 of those medium ones. And in the end, he decided to stick to this one here. So he has to go to a steed space and deliver 1 random resource. Right now he still has 1 bread, so he can basically score 2 more points there. Nice. Back to the Puss in Boots. He needs another spell. So he will place this card here. He will draw a card. I will show the card to you because this is the one player I'm sharing. The blue light. Play this card when an opponent activates the wolf field. Take 1 of your already used dice from the board and place that on the wolf field. Okay, that's nice. So you don't need to basically waste 1 of your active dice. A nice little defense spell. Then we will move here. Nothing will happen when those guys meet, and therefore he will score 1 coin. Then it's red. She wants to move out here, and now I'm not so sure if she wants to move in here or if she wants to move in here. No, let's move in here. This doesn't give her an immediate thing to do, but from there she could move in here in order to, I don't know, gain another potion or so. Then it's green, and he really wants to move out here now. In theory, he could go back and basically get something else, but then he's stuck and needs a 6 in order to move out. I think right now he's still feeling okay. So he will place this die here to move into the inn. Nothing else will happen here. I think no one else is playing a card on him. Then it's the Puss in Boots again. He wants to move out here too, so he will move back to the well. Again, nothing else will activate along that line. No, that's okay. Then it's Little Red Riding Hood, and I think she wants to go to the fox. She needs this die for the next round before someone else is taking it away from her through the wolf or so. Yeah, I think let's bet it do that. And I think green wants to solve one of his, or complete one of his quests. So he will place this die here. The problem is he needs to resolve that thing first. And it's a negative side quest. -1 adventure point. Head to the clouds to discard these cards. Oh wow, the clouds are really high up on the board. I'm not sure if he will be able to get there in this game, or if it doesn't want to move there. But now he can move to the red dragon here. He has the quest in order to visit the red dragon, so we flip it to the other side. So he just got 2 adventure points. Then it's white, and I think, does he want to go to the hare or to the snake? No, let's go to the hare for now. Right now he's not yet in the lead, so other players could still place their die on top of this. Same rules apply, equal or higher dice, and then whoever is the highest on this stack gets the reward. Starting player and one of those free movement tokens. And then it's a Little Red Riding Hood. It's kind of a waste, but I think she wants to go there anyway. So she arrives at this location, which simply gives her yet another magic card. And last but not least, it's the green player. He was also thinking of going to the rabbit or the hare, but I think he wants to go in here in order to move to the steed location in this point in time. With this, he can basically move in anywhere he wants to move. And I think, let's teleport over here for now. And then he will solve his quest. He will deliver 1 token of choice to this steed. So we flip it to the other side. That's an additional 2 more points. And I think that's again the end of the chapter. Again, we will remove all of those dice. I will do that off camera. The red player, Little Red Riding Hood, needs to make a choice, and she wants to place this fox die here on the X. So it doesn't really help her, but it could help her blocking the other players, and I think this could be still relatively important. White remains the starting player, gets his die back here as well, and he gets one of those hare tokens. Again, that's a free move. That's the last remaining die. And then again, we roll our dice. Okay, that wasn't bad at all for her. Wow, a lot of 6s actually. So that's pretty much 4 6s in total, and this measly 3. But overall, definitely a good roll for her. Okay, let's move into the final round. And again, Puss in Boots is first. The problem here is he will not make it, I believe, unless he's really extremely lucky with some of those things up here. Maybe this is what he should try, but on the other hand, he could simply move there, and draw another quest card. So let's move in here. She doesn't want to basically use his special ability here, which I forgot to flip, by the way. He can still use it, so he will simply draw 1 extra card from the easy pile, I guess. He needs to draw 2 drop 2 apples. That's tough for him. Then it's Little Red Riding Hood, and it seems to really work out for her, to be honest. So she places the die here. She moves to the steed, which means she can now discard this side quest here. Ride a steed, discard this card. Awesome stuff. She will ride the steed in order to move up here. Then it's the green player. Let's have him move in here. Yeah, why not? So this means he can now fulfill this quest here too, worth another 2 points. So overall he scored 6 points. Problem is he still has that -1. Then it's Puss in Boots, and he simply needs to try. Why not? So he will move in here, or use the die here. So he will jump in here, then we will activate this location. Let's see what he gets. Come on, it's a red card, a side quest. Wow, that's really bad. At the end of the game, get on the same field with another player to discard this card. Oh man, this is bad. I'm not sure if I will be able to get rid of this. Wow, this hurt. Then it's Little Red Riding Hood. She wants to move in down there as well, so she will block this space now. There, she wants to fulfill this quest, so she has the sword from the knight. She brought it to this blue dragon and slain him. So this is pretty much gone. So she scored an additional 3 points. And I think it's looking good for green actually. So he will spend this doubling die here in order to move here to the oven. So he will get 2 bread for that. It's not too bad at all. And then it's back to the Puss in Boots, who wants to go in here, I believe. Yeah, why not? So he will move in here in order to claim an apple. I think that's pretty much it for him. Then it's Little Red Riding Hood. She also wants to activate this guy here in order to move there to the bread space. So she also gets 2 bread. And keep in mind, with 1 bread, she can basically score 1 extra point at the end of the game. And now it's getting a little bit tricky for the green player. Of course, he wants to move in here. He wants to go to the hunter. But if he now draws the wrong card here, that's a problem. So let's move him here. We will have to resolve that space first. It's a green card, of course. Being extremely lucky here. You may put an unused die on the town, then you get a token of your choice. Oof. Does he need to do that? No, he doesn't actually. But what's more important, he can now solve a quest. So, and this is a 4-pointer here. So he basically drops 2 apples in order to flip this to the other side. That's 4 more points for him. Wow, that's insane. He's really doing exceptionally well. It was really extremely lucky, even though he really got pretty beaten by the Puss in Boots actually. Then it's the Puss in Boots again. And I think, yeah, we need to do that. This is extremely risky what I'm doing now. Is it? Maybe it isn't. No, I think it isn't. So he will spend his hair token now in order to move back to this old lady here. This is his action, so he basically placing, or he doesn't place a die here. This is his action. And unfortunately, he still has to resolve that card. And wow, he's lucky. He gets 1 loaf of bread, which is always nice. And wow, he may be able to complete this quest here. Originally, I was really planning for this one here in order to go to town and swapping those 2 out. But this is only 2 points and this is 3 points. Nice. There's not much that Little Red Riding Hood can do other than hoping for a cool quest here, which she might be able to solve for some reason or not. So she definitely wants to move back to town slowly but steadily. Yeah. Do it like this. And last but not least, green wants to play it mean. He will place this die here on the fox, which means that Little Red Riding Hood cannot move back into town. So she has to spend her remaining card. But Puss in Boots says, no, not with me. I will play my blue light here, play this card when the opponent activates, take 1 of your already used die from the board and place it here. Awesome stuff. So this card was good for the Puss in Boots. Unfortunately, not so good for the red player in this case. So she's out of dice. So no, this was the green player. It's now back to the Puss in Boots. So first of all, he will totally activate this die here to move back to town. There he will simply draw 1 card. And I think he doesn't really care. Need to drop 2 coins. I think nothing he can do about it. He will keep the card. Then he can solve a quest here, complete a quest. Of course, this will be those. And I believe this can be 3 different ones. Keep me honest here. But this is 3 more points for the white player. Nicely done. He has only 1 more die left, but I think there's really nothing he can do with it. So he will simply move in here or do something else. Doesn't really matter in this case. I believe he doesn't score a victory point for holding that hair token, or so cannot quite remember. But then it's still Puss in Boots, and he can try to get rid of his side quest here. So he will try to move back here, but before he's allowed to move, he has to resolve that story card here. So let's see what we get. Okay, that's bad, or actually not really. Discard a token or discard an unused magic item card. He doesn't have neither of those, so I think he's fine in this case. So he is allowed to move. So he will meet the other guys here. And this also means he will be able to remove this side quest here, get on the same field with another player to discard this card. Awesome. Nicely done. Next, we will tally up our score, which is relatively quickly done in this game. So that's 8 points for white. You don't suffer any penalties for having active quests in your area. So again, 8 for white. Overall, 6 for red and 9 points for green because he's losing 1 point here. It was really close call between the Puss in Boots and the Musicians of Bremen, but in the end they had the upper hand. Nicely done, green. I really like the tiebreaker rule in this game. Is it a tie? Possible. If it's a tie, the winner is who can kill more flies within one blow. Is that nice? Awesome stuff. So this was pretty much the short game variant of Dice Upon a Time. Again, it's currently on Kickstarter, and of course you will find a link to the campaign in the description of this video. You will definitely find a ton of stuff. From what I understood, they will have some actual miniatures instead of these standees here. I'm pretty sure that some of the components will still change. Again, I'm not really satisfied with the game board here, but maybe that's only me. Maybe all the others will like it too, and I could imagine there will be a whole ton of extra stuff that will get added to the game, additional magic items, additional quest cards, whatnot. Maybe let's have a quick look at some of the other characters. So we have Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Brave Little Tailor. This is where the reference from the where the flies come from. So basically you really get a ton of extra characters in this game. Overall, I think it's really a nice family-friendly game with maybe a little bit too much of take that and pushbacks in this game. At least when playing this with smaller kids, they usually don't like it when they think they can achieve something, then are being whatever sent back by bad draw of those side quests here, for example. This is really something for you to decide if you like these kind of games. Personally, I do, but I could imagine that's not for everyone. It's the same thing with Munchkin. Not everyone loves Munchkin with all that take that and bash the leader and whatnot. Hope you enjoyed my little playthrough of Once Upon a Time here. Hope to see you soon, or Dice Upon a Time here. Hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And yeah, until then, bye bye.